Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 13th business meeting of the Grosse Ile Township Board of Trustees. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:37. We're all present except for Mrs. Smith, who is excused. We have a quorum. Let's begin with additions, deletions to tonight's agenda.
Mr. Supervisor,
Budney.
I'd like to make a motion that we add an additional consent agenda item for the resolution authorizing execution of the annual maintenance permit for Wayne County.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss to add the resolution for annual maintenance. Any discussion among the board? One of these things we do every year with no comments. And those in favor of adding consent agenda item number 4 of the resolution to approve the permit for road maintenance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. That will be added to the consent agenda. Thank you, Mr. Budney. At this time, I'll open it up to public comment on agenda items. Any commentary on tonight's agenda items, which there are 3 with none. Sometimes I don't see people hiding, but nope. Mr. Snyder says it's clear back there, so we'll move on. We'll step to consent agenda. Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to request approval of consent agenda 15-041, which include the minutes of the June 22nd, 2015 regular meeting, the check register dated July 10th, 2015, and authorization to process and distribute payments through July 31st, 2015.
Okay, move. Support?
Support.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Van Oss and seconded by Trustee Budney, with the addition of the of consent agenda item number 4.
Correct. Which is resolution authorizing execution of annual maintenance payment for Wayne County.
Very good. Any discussion on the consent agenda among the board? Okay, with none offered, those in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda stands approved. We'll move on to action items. Mr. Posiask.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Agenda item number 1 is to award the bike path repair bid. It's a proposed motion to award the path repair bid consisting of asphalt repairs, drainage improvements, and seal coating to L's Asphalt Paving Company in the amount of $50,600 plus an alternate of $6,300 increase for alternate A, which is an asphaltic emulsion non-coal tar sealant over the existing path.
Support.
Okay, we have the motion by Trustee Posiask, seconded by Trustee Budney. I know this has been a project for some time. Mr. Posiask, do you want to fill us in on the background?
We've been working since really in the wintertime to get together a proposal to continue the repairs to the bike path and listed the use of the Rains Corporation to do a preliminary survey. They put together a survey of what they thought the bike path would need this year. Turned that out for bids, and we got one bid. Expected more, but we got one, and this one bid is from L's Asphalt. This will repair substantially a lot of the bike path and restore a lot of the bike path to its more original condition. We are going to do a lot of seal coating, and we're going to do that seal coating with a material that is not coal tar. It'll be an asphaltic emulsion. That's heavy chemistry, but it is basically a coating made up of asphalt and water. Now, the oil and water don't mix normally, so you put in a colloid, and that colloid keeps the seal coating in suspension. I'll give you an example of a colloid that you're very familiar with, ketchup. If you were to spray ketchup down on on a table and then allow the water in the ketchup to evaporate. What you would have left would be the remaining tomato. So we're going to spray down an asphalt water mixture. And when the water evaporates, that seal coat will be a top coat of asphalt, the same thing that is there now. So it's a nice project. It's going to make our bike paths continue to be a good-looking bike path. Questions for me?
I do.
Already married.
In the end, approximately how thick is the coating?
How thick is the coating? It goes on in 3 coats, and we're talking about mils in thickness. You know, it's about the thickness of a good coat of paint each time.
Comes up to about, what, 1/8 of an inch?
Not hardly. Not hardly.
Okay.
Probably a 32nd of an inch if you looked at it. It's mixed with sand. It's a traction improver. It will fill in the microscopic cracks that are out there in the path right now. As asphalt ages, it loses its black coloration. It starts to turn gray. And if you start looking at that asphalt, you will see alligatoring. What this coating does is it kind of refills those miniature cracks, and it gives us another smooth surface.
Well, you know I ride the bike path, and I enjoy it.
Love it.
I'll love it. The areas that have already been the cracks that have been sealed, does that fill those at all, or?
Well, it's not going to go in anywhere to change the elevation of what's sealed in the crack. The crack should be integral, and during the summer, the material in the crack rises up because of expansion. In the wintertime, it does drop a bit. And it's designed so that when you plow the path, you don't peel the seal coat or the crack seal out.
And I'm sorry, but when do you expect this project to start? With the
We're
approval?
hopeful to award, we're ready to award, and I think that we'll be starting probably around 1st of August, if I'm not mistaken. It was our goal to get this done before the end of the paving season. We don't want to go over the winter and part way and then finish it in the spring. But
Well, I will say that you guys have done a great job with the sealing and the crack filling. Looking forward to this. I know you put a lot of hard work into it. Thank you.
well, it's not me, it's BPEC. Just some of the things that Bike Path have done here is, I teased them about having to herd cats, but boy, when they put their minds to a project, we gave them 4 days to review this.
Well, you as a plural, so
Thank you.
includes your whole commission.
Thank you.
Okay, other comments for Mr. Posiask on the bike path ceiling? All right, with none offered from the board, those in favor of awarding the bike path repair bid consisting of asphalt repairs, drainage improvements, and seal coating to Al's Pavement. Which amount was it were we selecting?
Al's Asphalt Paving Company. And
For which dollar amount?
it was the 56.9. Al's Asphalt basic
Okay,
bid
and that was alternate 1.
plus alternate 1.
Okay. As recommended by the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None offered? All right. They can get to work. Let's see. Action item number 2. I think it's going to be the Jim Budney show for
For the next couple of...
Mr. Budney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the attached resolution, and which includes the following ballot language to be placed on the November 3rd, 2015 ballot. Road and water main infrastructure bond proposal. Shall the Township of Groseal, Wayne County, Michigan, borrow the principal sum of not to exceed $18,800,000 and issue its general obligation unlimited tax bonds in one or more series payable over a period not to exceed 20 years from date of issuance, to be used by the Township for the purpose of paying the cost of Groseal primary and secondary collector roads, including chip sealing, reconstructing, resurfacing, and improving roads, together with related drainage improvements and installing, upgrading, constructing, improving, and replacing water mains running along such roads in the Township, together with all related appurtenances and attachments. The estimated millage to be levied in 2016 is 1.1223 mils, or $1.12 per thousand of taxable value, and the estimated simple average annual millage rate required to retire the bonds is 2.1167 mils, or $2.12 per thousand of taxable value.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss. Well, where do we start?
Well, this is again another step towards improving our roads. We've had the discussion previously of why we have to do this, and if this is approved and we can go forward, we'll have many more discussions, Mr. Kostick and I, with the people of Groseal, explaining what we're doing and why we have to do it. But this is the bond language. Principally, this is the bond language that would go on the November 3rd, 2015 ballot.
Hey, other comments from the board? The wording is pretty straightforward.
Jim, the total millage will be 2 point what?
And is that the total? That it says it's the average. Yeah. What's the?
It's the total average, just depending on the obviously the taxable value.
And that's because the whole thing is not over 20 years. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's divided amongst sewer mains and water mains, and
Yes.
between water mains and roads. The roads will be paid over a 15-year period, which is their amortization period, and the water mains will be over 20 years. So the total bond will be 20 years, of which the roads will be paid off in the first 15. So there's a sliding schedule.
Yeah, and that's why we said a simple average.
Just a comment. Tom, we won't be able to do this project all at one time. It's going to be huge.
Oh, I understand that.
And it'll be an aggregate. We'll probably go out for about 4.8 million, 2018, or 7 million. Just going to be stretched over, and the aggregate total of all of these millages to pay this thing off will be 2.1167.
Okay.
Other questions?
That was under what we were told at first. That's why I was asking the question.
Yeah, well, initially we thought it was going to be significantly higher.
Right. We were thinking 3 or 3 plus, so we're very happy to be way under that.
And the length of the project, Jim, that
2019, 4 years, 2016 through 2019, and again we won't be taking all the money up front. We'll be taking it as the projects call for it.
All right, thank you.
Other comments, questions? Mr. Riem.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I want to show a couple simple drawings. They were the same sketches that the Public Service Commission put together in their report previously, but that's the biggest question that I get. What roads are you doing? Well, again, I want to remind everyone this is a capital improvement for roads and water mains. And no, Mr. Fournier is going to be frustrated at me because I didn't take the time to make this color better. So my apologies to everyone. This north end, this midsection here where it's dark, as well as the south ends, are chip seals. Meridian Road Center is repave or resurface, and this area here,
Church Road.
Church, is complete reconstruction. This is our proposal that we have submitted to Wayne County. The water main replacements obviously we want to do the work where it's needed prior to redoing the roads. And those areas, as you can see, are bolded here in the north end, along East River, Mid-Island, as well as the section of West River. So these visuals are part of the report and will be put together in an information packet that will be shared with the community. So just want to take time to point out, again, this is a road and water main improvement project. Thank you.
While the roads are far more visible, like you said, the water mains, much of our water delivery network needs to be replaced to where it'll be suitable to go into the next or the rest of this century with reliable, pressurized, treated water. Obviously, we want to do that first and then resurface the road above it. So we're not like some projects where you've seen they're freshly paved road and then 2 weeks later they're out there with a saw cutter because we got to put a pipe in. This is a well-thought project.
I did want to point out, if you saw the diagram that Dale put up there, it covers the whole island. And the roads, when they're done, if your road isn't done, you're going to be driving on a road in your area that's been done. So it does benefit the whole island, which we thought was very important, not showing any favoritism to the north or the south or east or the west.
Okay.
Yeah, just really briefly, I know that a lot of words are set up here. It may or may not make sense to people watching on TV, but the long and the short of it is the DPS has been studying this for a few years, really in earnest for about a year and a half or 2 years. They've given the board now, I think, 3 or 4 study sessions on this topic, and what we're voting on tonight is millage language approval, that if we approve it tonight, will get sent to the county, and then will be on the November 3rd ballot so that the residents of Groseal can vote on it. So that's kind of the process we've been taking, just to summarize in a nutshell for everybody.
Not only that, if I can tag on into that, Eric, if you speak to Fire Chief Murdoch, he'll tell you that how important it is to get these water mains changed, at least especially along East River Road. They become reduced in diameter over the years, so they can't put as much water through, and it really does affect how well he can, should there be a major fire, how well he can fight that fire with the volume of water that he has at hand. So you have full support from the fire department.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, with that, those in favor of approving the previously read ballot language for the November 3rd, 2015 ballot, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered. Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Budney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This next one is also to do with roads. Motion to approve resolution number 15-044 between Groseal Township and County of Wayne, authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement governing the local partnering initiative for improvement to local county roads within the township limits during the fiscal years 2014-15, 2015-16, as read into the record. And I get the resolution. Whereas the Groseal Township believes quality roads are a vital part of the community, and whereas certain improvements are necessary to county local roads to increase traffic safety, and whereas the County of Wayne has committed to Groseal Township to assist financially during fiscal years 2014-15 and 2015-16 in improvements to local roads within the township limits, and whereas Wayne County will provide payment to the Groseal Township up to 80% or the capped amount of $500,000 per year as the county's participation in the total project costs. And whereas upon execution of this agreement by the county will provide a working capital advance to the township in the amount of $125,000 as 25% of the county's participation of the total project costs. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Groseal Township Board of Trustees does hereby approve the proposed agreement between Groseal Township and County of Wayne for the improvements of local county roads within the township, and be it further resolved that the supervisor and clerk are authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the Groseal Township.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Treasurer Van Oss.
And what this is this is the year 2, actually, of the Wayne County, right before the election, found about $14 million that they wanted to give to the townships in the county. Our share of that was $500,000 a year, provided we matched 20%. So we took our $500,000 for this year, and this resolution is really for us getting $500,000 next fiscal year to continue to work on our roads. And this is for your residential type roads. It's not for your collector roads, which were covered by the bond proposal that action item number 2 that we just did. This is for the other roads that aren't covered by that. Your road that you live on, probably, unless you live on a river road. So this is so that we can get our $500,000 from the county.
Okay, any other questions, comments for Trustee Budney? This is what our paid for our chip sealing.
Chip sealing
project,
this year,
which
yes.
I think it's just beautiful, and expect to see more of the improvements. Other questions, comments for Trustee Budney? This does require a roll call vote, and I'll begin with Trustee Budney.
Aye.
Trustee Posiask.
Aye.
Let's see, Trustee Malvesto.
Aye.
Treasurer Van Oss.
Aye.
Clerk Ranka. Aye. Supervisor votes aye. Motion carries. The list, Trustee Smith is absent. We can sign this and get to work. That will conclude our action items. Thank you, Mr. Budney. With that, we'll step to the reports. Clerk's report. Clerk Ranka.
Clerk's report for today. Clerk's report for today is there's a police commission meeting tomorrow evening at the Public Safety Building, and the next scheduled planning commission is not scheduled right now. We've got a couple of projects in the hopper, but none of them have submitted the paperwork yet. So we'll have forthcoming on when the next planning commission meeting will take place. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The June investment information is available online for a complete investment packet. The 2015 summer property tax bills were mailed on the first week of July. If you did not receive your tax bill, please contact the Treasurer's office to confirm your proper mailing address. Mortgage companies are holding escrow accounts. Receive a duplicate copy of the tax billing when requested. If you've recently purchased your home or have recently refinanced, you may want to inquire with our office to ensure that they have requested your summer tax bill to pay from your escrow accounts. Summer tax bills are due September 14, 2015. Eligible residents can apply for extensions of the summer tax due date of September 14th to February 14th, 2016. These deferment applications are available online and at the Treasurer's office. There will be a Airport Commerce Park meeting next Monday, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We'll move on to trustee reports. Mr. Malvesto.
Very, very briefly, a few weeks ago, we Township and the Recreation Department suffered a tragic loss. There was a fire in the service garage, in the maintenance garage at Water's Edge. It was a total loss. The fire was turned in by of all things, a jogger. It was somewhere around 3:15 in the morning. By the time the fire department responded, the flames had already gone through the roof and were 25 feet in the air. there were 23 out of the volunteer fire department. 23 men showed up to extinguish that fire, which says a lot again for our volunteer fire department. They were called. They responded quickly, and the vast majority of them were there. Currently, until we get a feedback from the insurance company, I really can't give you any more details as to the cause of the fire. It was not vandalism. It was not arson. Every piece of equipment that we use to maintain the golf course literally was in that building. So when I say it was a total loss, we did lose everything. Mark Tiso, who takes care of our golf course for us and takes care of all the equipment, responded. He's been loaned a piece of equipment. There are other equipment manufacturers who are I want to say donating or are loaning us equipment on a trial basis until we get our feet under us. And once we find out from the insurance company what the resolution is going to be, we'll go on from there. But the building was a total loss. The building will be replaced, and now it's how much the equipment we can replace. So that's really about all I got to offer you. Tom Snyder is here. He's very active. Been very active with GISA and very active with a number of the teams, sports teams on Grosse Ile. He and his daughter both. And what do you like to bring before the board? Very very briefly is I want to say that the portable defibrillation machines, equipment for use on the sports field. So, Tom, if you just want to very briefly, please.
Name's Tom Snyder, 8448 Rucker. At the last Recreation Commission meeting that we had, I made a report to the Recreation Commission after going to a continuing education program that I had as a pharmacist. The Red Cross had some statistics out that were kind of mind-boggling, and they gave us basically a take-home message, is if whether it's a senior or somebody who has a heart condition, if they happen to be out in the wilderness somewhere where there's no one to get to them after a heart attack or some sort of cardiac issue, the rate of survival is 3%. If you can have an AED machine near somebody who's having that, your chances of survival are 86 to 88%. I thought those numbers were staggering, and after having that continuing education, they asked us to make sure we go to our communities and have them take a look at where your AED machines are. Do we have enough? Are they placed in the right area? And have folks think about what we have and what we can do to make Grosse Ile safer. We have AED machines in the schools. We have one at the Township Recreation Department. There are some in other township buildings. But after having some discussions, our fields, we do not have any at our fields, whether it's a soccer field, football field, baseball field. We don't know what the policy is for the school, and I think I may be doing that after the school opens, to having those discussions. But what we had asked is if I had talked to some folks, including Chief Murdoch. I had met with the Recreation Commission lead person. I had talked to Dale, Mr. Malvesto, Brandy, and I guess what I'd like to do is be able to sit down and see if we can take a look to see how we can make Grosse Ile safer by making sure that we have enough AED machines in the township area as well as placed in the proper areas so we can make sure that we can save a life.
Tom, would you kindly introduce your daughter, who also happens to be the liaison between the school and the Recreation Commission?
Hi, I'm Natalie Snyder.
Thank you very much.
And one of the things that we brought up is that you can't look at somebody and tell whether they have a heart condition or not. I have two nephews, one who collapsed at a Gabriel Richard soccer game, who had to have cardiac ablation surgery. I had another nephew who's had 2 bypass surgeries and will have to have a third one in the next few years. There are some cousins that live on this island. I don't know what their conditions are, but again, you can't look in somebody's face and tell how sick they are or what kind of cardiac conditions they have. These machines could save a life. So I'm hoping to maybe some sort of committee, some sort of way to help we can look to make sure that they're placed properly so we can save lives.
I have spoken with Chief Murdoch and Chief Porcerelli and Fire Marshal Beaudry, and we're going to put together a a meeting, a get-together with the GISA and GIRA, and go over the pros and cons to see, how we should, proceed going forward with this. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered before we just jump out there and say this is something we're going to do. So I told Tom that I'd work with him on it, and I just asked him if he'd show up this evening and just make a very brief statement.
Chief, do our patrol cars have AEDs on board? And the officers are trained, and they're obviously, if they have them on board, they're going to be trained in their use. My concern with prepositioning here and there, when there's an incident, it's a police officer that gets there first, usually within a couple of minutes, and that'll be the life and death. I'm concerned with somebody on the far end of the soccer field sending a runner up to the clubhouse to get the AED and running back. By then, most likely we would have one of our trained officers there, and they would either live or die from that. But not that it's not a good idea. It's just that we do have these assets available.
And that's exactly why we're gonna sit down and have the discussion, because our public safety department, both police and fire, will have the pros, they'll have the cons, and we'll be able to make the most sense out of it. And I agree with exactly with what you say, as far as first responders. And again, that's precisely why we are going to have that conversation to explain, bring all the points out, highlight everything.
We have heard of some of those tragic, unexplained losses on sports fields. So whatever, we'll do what we need to do to make sure we've done our part to preclude that.
We simply don't want to ignore it. We want to address it and have the conversation. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Snyder?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Malvesto?
I don't have anything else. Brandy, did you have something?
I just wanted to add to Trustee Malvesto's statement about the fire. And although it has been very devastating to our department, we are fully functional and running. We only lost one day on the golf course, and that was really more to the storm damage than the fire. So we are up and running, and we welcome all golfers and foot golfers and people who want to swim. And I did want to just say thank you to the fire department for doing such a great job that night. I was called very early in the morning and was down there on scene, and they were a well-oiled machine, and they really took care of us, and they contained the fire. It didn't spread. No one was hurt, so we were very thankful. And just wanted to also thank the generosity of the Grosio Country Club and the people who have come out and really showed their colors and helped us out during this time. So my peers who have been very supportive, so I just wanted to put those thank yous in. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Does that wrap up
Yeah, sure does.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Budney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. DPS meeting tomorrow, 7 o'clock, right here. We will probably be discussing roads. And no ZBA meeting this month, but there will be one in August. And that's all I have. Hope everybody's enjoying their summer.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. Ms. Posiask.
Not one to be very brief. I got a few things. Number one, the chip seal looks great. My hat is off to the DPS and the group of people that put that all together. I think you've made a tremendous difference. Thank you. Number two, BPAC. Thank you for support of the repairs to both the bridges and to the asphalt. We're going to do our very best to get this all done this year and make everything look good again. We're looking a little shabby on some of the bridges, but I promise you by fall that won't be anymore. We have a lot of things going on with bike paths. We also are about 90% complete with resetting the bricks around the fountain. There is an issue with what remains there, and Dale and I have talked about it. We need to resolve it, but bricks are going to look good when they're complete. As far as BPAC is concerned, we were approached as BPAC by a fellow by the name of Reverend Sean Eubanks several months ago, wanted to suggest that we make a bike path extension from his parking lot at St. Thomas Lutheran Church to the bike path. And we were not able to work out something that was allowed through our statutes and our commission. But the community of St. Thomas Church and Reverend Eubanks got together and put one in themselves. And I got an email tonight at 5:50 p.m. from from Reverend Eubank. Says, I am standing on the new bike path extension at St. Thomas. Drive by and check it out at your leisure. Feels good, Sean. Now, that's dedication of a group of people that doesn't want you to drive on Church Road with your bicycle. They want you to park in their parking lot and use their extension to get on our bike trail and use it to its fullest. And so thank you to St. Thomas Lutheran Church and all those that contributed to make that happen. Bike Path Committee will meet on the 21st of this month. Greenways Open Space will meet on August 4th. And there'll be some conversation there about the new trail work that we're about to start on, and probably a little more conversation about oak wilt. You might remember me saying that we had a moratorium on wood cutting because of the possibility of propagating oak wilt damage to our red oaks. That, I understand, has been extended from not July 15th, but to August 15th, and it may go. So there's some concern there. But if you're interested in things like that, please come down and spend some time with us. But resumption of wood cutting, and that's Woody's pride and joy, that will be at such time as the oak wilt problem is behind us. Number 4, August 22nd is a big day on Grosse-Ile. We have planned the Walk the Path thing, and I've talked about it at every township board meeting. It's not that far away now. You're going to be able to come down to the Commons on Meridian and Macomb and enjoy some great guitar music from Barry Van Engelen. You're going to get free lemonade and hot dogs. You'll be able to watch the Wayne State Baroudeurs. Over 100 of them will be coming past that viewing point, racing bicycles on public streets. So if you're into that sort of a thing, if you like racing bikes and like to watch these fellas and ladies compete, one of them sitting to my left, come on down that day. We're going to have a lot of things there for you to see. We're going to have the Baroudeur event. Greenways Open Space is going to have an exhibit. BPAC will have an exhibit. Recreation Department is contributing heavily to this. Thank you, guys. DPS will be there for an information booth. The garage sale is that Saturday also, Friday and Saturday. And Sacred Heart's 100-year anniversary is occurring that day. So there'll be a lot of things going on in Grosse-Ile. And this says a lot about our pride as a community. I invite you to take part in any and all of it. End of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Posiask. We have a flyer in the back, and I think Wally could fill us in on lazy ride in the summertime.
Lazy ride in the summertime is...
You're the bike path guy. I'll let you give all the details.
I'm the bike path guy, but the bike path lady who put that together is Miss Jane Fiegel. Jane is organizing rides on Grosse-Ile, and she calls them lazy rides. They're nobody setting any speed records. People are getting together and taking the time to just cruise around the island. So please avail yourself of one of those brochures. I don't have it in front of me, Brian. What's the next date on that?
Go ahead and just pass it down. And these are in the back of the room on the little podium as you come in, and a couple of events.
July 18th is the next one. And meet at the park. Make sure your bike's in good shape. Bring along a snack and some water. And this is for people who like to ride their bikes comfortably, no racing. This is an 11-mile maximum event. Wear a helmet, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Posiask. We'll move on to Township Attorney, Mr. Sorty.
I know there's been several questions regarding the railroad apartments. Hasn't changed, obviously, other than once we were able to put the safety measures into place. We were in court today. The court has now set 60 days from today as kind of a cutoff date for us. The receiver has assured both us and the court that they're very close to a completed project, which will result in ultimately in consent judgment for the township that will take care of those two buildings and hopefully some modifications and improvements to the facility. Just said I'd update you. That's coming. Again, hopefully we plan on being done. The court set another status conference for 60 days from today, but we hope that it'll be done and complete before then.
That's as good as that news gets. unfortunately, it's a very involved process, and we can't afford to make any mistakes. So, thank you, Mr. Assorti. Township Managers report, Mr. Riem.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just one brief item I want to report on. As everyone knows, Ordinance Officer Gray has been out on extended medical leave, and I just want to report to the board and the community, as discussed previously, we are addressing ordinances, complaints. We're all pitching in, myself, everyone in community development, everyone in the Department of Public Services, extra help from the police department. So we're in process addressing these items, and obviously along with our normal jobs. So we're running behind, and we're not as effective and efficient as Mr. Gray has been. So, but I just wanted everyone to know that we are continuing with those matters and items and investigating any complaint that we may receive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riem. All right, down to me. Let's see, Supervisor, a couple odds and ends. Mr. Posey has touched on the garage sale. We do have a flyer in the back. Carol's lining up. Again, it's going to be a busy, busy weekend, August 22nd. This flyer is in the back of the room. If you're interested in participating in garage sales, let's see, here's one Carol didn't have. Household Hazardous Waste Collection, Wayne County Department of Public Services, Saturday, August 15th, 8 till 2 at the Westland Shopping Center. Quite a ways away, but in case you have something you're hazardous waste you just can't wait to get rid of, we'll have flyers for this available. That's in August. Wally covered the Lazy Summertime Ride. Concert on the Commons every Sunday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Macomb Commons. Next one coming up will be July 19th, Benny and the Jets, which is Benny. I've never seen any Jets with him, but actually he's very good. Master of Songs on the guitar. Okay, and the next, and this is going to be really fun, the Detroit Institute of Arts, the Inside Out art project. And if you're not familiar with it, there are 7 pieces of art. They're reproductions of world-famous portraits from the DIA that have been reproduced into an outdoor style presentation, weatherproof, 7 different locations throughout the island. They'll be installed pretty much the week through, but we're going to have the grand opening with the Grosse Ile Alliance for the Arts on the 2nd of August. That's a Sunday. The community of Gibraltar has graciously allowed us to use their trolley, so we'll have trolley tours, and let's see if I've got the latest on that. Shuttle tours. Okay, the whole event is we're going to be at 2 at the Commons. The first shuttle tour be at 3:30 to 3:30, 4:30, and 5:30. So about an hour to see all 7. Docents will be on board to explain the various arts, and after that, they're pedestrian and bicycle accessible locations. So one of our lazy rides around the island, we might stop and take in some of the art. So it's just going to be fun summer stuff. That DIA, this whole project was sponsored by the Knight Foundation. It's an expensive event, and we were very lucky to land these many communities competed. But because of our network of bike paths and our emphasis on walkability and outside accessibility, we won. So I'm just real pleased with that. And also that evening, they're going to wrap up with hopefully a concert on the Commons with Bill Bynum and Company. He was pretty popular at the Grand in Trenton most of the winter, singer, songwriter, country rock, and I guess he does some bluegrass too. That completes my report. With this, we'll open it up to public comment. I'm going to offer the first opportunity to Mr. Dan. He's got his family here. Don't want to keep him any later than necessary. George, were you going to speak, or is Emmanuel here to speak? You're Emmanuel? Okay, well, if you can work the overhead, I know you have pictures to show. All right, so if you would introduce yourself.
Good evening.
You're representing your father.
Good evening. My name is Emmanuel Dan. I've lived on Grosse Ile since 94 through 2001. I moved out after I got married, and my father had me come here to explain what we found out and to, for me to tell that we did not have this much water when we grew up. If it rained and the backyard got a little water, it would dry up or dissipate within a day or so. And I helped them look into it. And what I found, I'm going to be really short. So all of this, if you go to a Google map, you put the address and you zoom out, there is a blue squiggly line that starts north of him and it comes all the way down and it goes to West River Road. And so I did an overlay of a satellite, and you can see remnants of that drainage. Oh, there it is. Yep. You can see remnants of that drainage ditch. And I went exploring to see if it's still there, and you can see parts of it where it is. And along the fence line, all the way in the back of my dad's yard, right in the back, there is an old gate with a padlock, and there's a kind of like a culvert with a mound of dirt. So at one time, there was like kind of like a ditch that went from here all the way to this drainage ditch that's you can see on the map. So it might have got filled over time, and that's why you got the standing water. Now, his neighbor to the north of him, having an excavating business, filled up the whole place, and now instead of sharing in the drainage system, part of it got clogged, and all the water stands on his property. And I did a like an elevation map too. So from the difference from Meridian Road to West River Road is about 10 feet. So the natural drainage path is to West River, and because I know some people have suggested that some kind of a drainage system goes to Meridian, which would be impossible because of the elevation leads towards West River. So it leads me to believe that something did happen to this natural drainage system that was put in. And if you go on the satellite image and the Google map, you can see there was an existing system. And over time, at the north end, the condo development covered some of it up. And other people might have covered it up. But a part that goes through woods, you can tell there's no trees growing there because there was a drainage system. So his house being older, from the 1930s, might have been affected by this drainage system where it got clogged up. So my dad is asking that the township look into this because the water does not go away at all. So I grew up there. I went to high school here. We did not have this much standing water. It's, pond size. I mean, really, it's really deep. So it didn't help that the neighbor to the north filled in his property, so now all the water comes on his. But at the same time, he kind of filled in that lower part where it kind of naturally drained to this drainage ditch that I believe was part of the original township layout when it was planned. So, if you can see this blue squiggly line, I did not put that in. That's off a printout from Google Maps, and I overlaid it with the satellite image, and you can still see through some of the wooded areas where that drainage ditch should be. And there was, on the north end of our property, a natural ditch that connected it to that drainage ditch that's on the map, which is no longer functioning. So,
would you, if I may, swing over to that overhead satellite shot and
okay,
go the larger one.
Yep. So I overlaid it and penciled it in, and there's a wooded part here, right in here, where you can see there's missing like trees, where there's like a recession in the ground where actually you could tell that it's supposed to be there, right in here. Okay. Now this is a printout which lost some quality, and now the overhead loses quality. But if you go on there and you do it like a satellite view, you can see that. So at one point there was a drainage system put in place, which Google Maps, when they put all these on their maps, they get them from records that are in place with the original layouts of the townships. So if you look in other places, it's not just rivers, it's little drainage ditches. So this was in place, but I don't know if the township's supposed to be maintaining it or what happened to it, but it no longer is fully functional.
There's one other. So the neighbor to the north, I'm Daniel Patru. I'm a family friend. I was called out because he wasn't sure that.
I almost didn't make it.
So
Back up.
yes. So I was out there just before I came here, and the property to the north, that's this property here. So this is his house, Mr. Dan's house, and this property to the north belongs to the Miles family, and there's a ditch. There was a drainage ditch that separates these two properties, runs right along the property line, and that was filled in. You can still see portions of it where it's lower, but Mr. Dan told me that when they first started building, they filled that in, and as late as last year, they still were filling in portions along that boundary line, and as a result, all the water on Mr. Miles's property comes on his property instead of draining into that ditch.
That connects to the other natural drainage ditch. That's with the blue line.
And we think that that ditch should be on your plans in the building office.
Your
somewhere.
building department, yeah.
So.
Supposedly they need to make a new ditch.
So, yeah, what we would like is to have that ditch be reopened so that the water doesn't drain on his property, and in fact, that would also drain his property into the ditch. Right now, he has standing water. He can't cut the grass there. He has like a little artificial wetland on his property, and it doesn't have to be there. I think the Miles family started building 10 years ago, and since then, that's when the problems began. So we're asking that you look into it and
in some spots, like you can see against the fence, there's 18 inches of dirt pushed right up against the fence. This one's a close-up of it. You can see the chain link, and then it's all filled in with dirt right up against the fence, up to some spots up to 2 feet.
From the neighbor's side of the property. So the combination of raising up their land and filling in the drainage ditch is causing him problems. That was as late as last year, 2014, in the fall. They put in dirt in the front here. So
Okay, we've seen. We're obviously several of us have been to the property. I wasn't aware of the existence of the previous ditch and obstructions to that. Well, we'll work on it. We have been, and
I actually printed these out and asked my dad to submit them in with the letters. He didn't. He thought he was supposed to keep them, but this would really help if you gave them in with you. But you can find them on.
Okay. Yep.
You have your maps, I think, that would show this.
Okay, we want to move things along. You have remember, nobody can understand you, George.
Well, this is fine. Okay, I got one question, please. For the old ditch, they put more dirt in the old ditch. I want to build new ditch. My neighbor with garden mileage, he promised me few years ago, oh, no problem, George, I make a new ditch. Never he don't make a new ditch. Now I have a problem year to year, the flood my property. I not enjoy it for my property. I wanted the board, the Grosville Township board, that told to mileage family, he's millionaire, okay, they make a ditch. He promised me make a ditch, go to all the water, the property, don't come anymore my property. He got it almost over 5 acres. He's coming at the high, they're coming this way for my property. I want to stop and the toll to him, board to Grosville Township, the force to him, they make a new ditch. This is simple. I wanted his water, my water, to go to new ditch, to go to West River. Simple.
All right, we will, of course, we will look into it. If there's a ditch block, we'll take the appropriate action. If there was unpermitted activity, we'll take the appropriate action. I can't make any promises. You know, we've been working with you on this, George, trying to get it drained. If that's the problem, we can fix it, we'll get it fixed. All right?
Thank you.
We'll
yeah,
be working
only
with you.
I make a complaint every year, you know. So I want for example, last year in September, he put more trucks dirt in the property. More go up over 2 feet over my property. You know, the angle,
We've seen.
I want to make a new ditch. You know.
All right, we're where?
The same before.
We're aware of your concerns.
Okay.
All right.
Only he put in a block to the concrete pipe in my backyard, the ditch. All the water, the water, come in my property. From the water from my property, they can go draining to go to the West Road for the concrete pipe. He blocked to one truck there.
We will.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dan.
You're welcome.
All right. Moving on. Other public comment? Oh, we'll save Woody for. Yes, sir.
My name is Milo Gainier. I live at 23425 West River Road. I came to the meeting because I saw the thing for the approving the bond language for the roads, and my first question was, where could I receive a copy of what's actually being proposed? Because I came to I'm not sure I got the public a couple weeks ago, the
DPS meeting?
DPS, and I was told at that time that there is no plan for West River Road north of the Free Bridge. And living right in the middle of that section, if any of you have ever driven on it, I think that's probably one of the worst roads in Grosseto. So today on Mr. Ream's presentation, he had the little... Oh, is it here?
That's it. That's the that was the handout. That's yours.
Okay. Well, then I'll save my questions till I look at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Glad to help.
Yep.
Thanks for coming tonight. Let's see, Mr. Clark.
Woody Clark, Park Lane. When is Mr. Gray supposed to be back?
When he gets better.
Well, what's that date?
Well, there's no date. There's
right.
It's an employee issue.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be discussed.
Okay, the bridge goes down a lot, and we called its dispatch, and dispatch doesn't know anything about it. It was down today. I didn't call. You come up on the bridge. There's no boat that can raise the bridge. It's always the same story. What's going on? Are they try another trial to see how they've got workers down there that don't know how to operate the bridge? So we try it on us.
Well, it's the only operable bridge Wayne County. I don't have to laugh about it, but their other two drawbridges were mysteriously taken out of action, so they have one drawbridge left. It's our pedestal bridge, and I don't want to make light of it, but thank God we still have that one. Woody, it's Wayne County's bridge.
I understand that.
They don't check with me. They don't.
We were supposed to call the dispatch office when they're going to swing it. That's what my understanding was.
I thought they had that understanding too, but I don't know if they have any obligation to do that.
I know that, but it would be nice so we understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing there on either side that can shut it down. Just the person that's running the bridge shuts it down. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kostick.
Good evening, Bill Kostick, Marquette Drive. Just want to thank the board for your approval of the resolution to place the item on the ballot. As Township Clerk Ranka said, we've been working on this for 3 years plus. And as far as the water improvements, in 2010, we did a water reliability study, master plan, and we really need to make these water improvements. The roads are pretty clearly evident. So that's first thing. Thank you very much. At least and as we said as a commission, we'll do everything we can to meet with every group, every neighborhood group, people on West River, East River, Whoever wants, we're going to prepare a 4-page brochure. We hopefully will mail to every home and speak at every group we can, including the policemen and the firemen and realtors and everybody else. So we'll try to inform the public of what's being proposed. Secondly, on the chip seal, thank you, Wally, for your comments. It looks nice. I just want to offer this. When you drive the chip sealed roads, the purpose of the chip seal is to preserve the roads. And it has a little vibration to it, you notice? But what people easily forget is how bumpy it was before. And if you drive sections of East River and see the section by the middle school, then you can realize, oh yeah, that's what it was like. But, and my wife was not the right gauge because she said, well, there's a little vibration in the road. I said, well, Pat, you used to complain about dodging the bumps before, and now it's been fixed. And just so everybody knows, if you remember, we spent $60,000 a mile for 4 miles doing the chip seal. The cost to resurface is $600,000 a mile. So we've studied this, and the communities, the counties, all but Wayne County throughout the state of Michigan, they all use it, as I've said to you before. And they do it to preserve their asphalt roads. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kostick. The maximum speed limit anywhere on the island is 35 miles an hour. It shouldn't be that. The little vibration shouldn't be that much of an imposition. I love it. I think it's with the stripes on it now, it's so much better than those sections used to be, and that's that's an example of the work that our DPS has put into this. So, I do need another copy of that. That was my last copy of the handout. But no, it's here. Yeah, I'm not gonna wrestle you for it. Let's see. With this, any other further public comment? All right. With none offered, entertain a motion to go to closed session.
Yeah,
now the bad part.
Make a motion to go to closed session to discuss the state of Michigan sanitary sewer consent order update.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney, seconded by Trustee Posiask. Those in favor of retiring from the open meeting to closed session, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None offered. Let's see. We'll move to closed session at make it 8:39.